Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for coming today. This is the Navigate Intensive info session, and where I'm going to be explaining to you all about a summer version of my Navigate program, which I'm calling the Navigate Intensive. So that by the end of this call, hopefully you'll know if it is right for you. But while I do that, I'm also going to be giving you like a plan for the summer. We're going to be talking about summer writing, and I'm going to actually give you like a month by month plan of how your summer could look if you decide to do the intensive. So you might want a pencil, a piece of paper, take screenshots, whatever you want. And we're going to get started. All right, people from all over the place. Chicago, on the weather. Yes, as often in Chicago, maybe. All right, welcome. My goal, as I just said, right, is that by the end of this session, you'll know if the Navigate Summer Intensive is the right fit for you. Okay, so I would love for you to stay till the end of this call because I do have a special like early enrollment offer with some great bonuses that I'm gonna be letting you know about. And then I also at the end will do like a full Q&A so you can hold on to your questions until the end. If there's a lot of people, we have 24 people on the call today, so and some other people might be joining, so the chat can get fast, but I'll try to catch questions. But if I don't, please don't hesitate to bring questions up by the end. So what we're covering today, I want to like frame my talk about my description of the Navigate Intensive within expectations around summer writing. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about how your summer writing expectations may have been holding you back and what to do instead. And then I'm going to talk about the importance of getting both writing done in the summer and resting, like, which is something that I think is like, we often don't plan for rest in the summer. So I'm going to explain what this might look like for you. So I'm going to actually give you a plan for both submitting papers that you want to submit and restoring, by which I mean resting and doing things that feel like restorative, whether they be physical activities like walking and swimming and nice activities that you enjoy, or reading things that aren't related to your work, perhaps restorative activities, and also rest like sleep. And then I'm going to explain what is exactly the Navigate Summer Intensive, like what it, day by day, what it's going to look like, how it's different from my normal 12-week Navigate, excuse me, or Navigate versions that you might have taken way in the past. And I'm also going to explain how to apply with the bonuses that I'm going to be offering if you enroll before April 10th. Okay, so let me know in the chat, does this sound like you? You have an overwhelming backlog of papers, and you also maybe have some big career moves that you want to make that are riding on getting those papers submitted this summer, or at least out in the world soon. All right, let me know if that sounds like you. How about this one? You juggle multiple roles and responsibilities, like maybe you run a research lab, maybe you're directing a program or even a department. You're mentoring students, you're doing teaching, service, caregiving, and you need this summer to be a time where you rest and restore from all of those activities. So we've got writing production that needs to happen, submission of papers potentially, and at the same time, you've been like running at full speed all semester. So we also need to think about how the summer can be a time for restoration. Yes, Mary Margaret, absolutely. This describes us all. Although I will say that not everybody admits it, but usually the people who come to these calls do. Like, we're like, yes, this is how we feel, and we are tired of it. Okay. How about this one? Your voice like should be out there, like impacting your field and out in the world, but you've been relying on binge and bust writing, by which I mean like I'm not going to maybe even try to write during the semester, or I'm trying to write during the semester and then I fall off the horse. And I'll just get back to it in the summer because in the summer I can kind of binge write. But that doesn't always work, right? When you have a binge and bust cycle, a lot of times that can backfire and we don't get the result with our writing and clearing that backlog of papers that we want to get. I'm going to talk more about that later. And then does this sound like you? You know you need time to like you know you need to manage the influx of requests on your time, okay? And those requests come from your department, they come from colleagues, they come from students, and all those requests on your time are because you are good, because you are awesome, because people want to work with you, because students are like, yeah, I want her, you know? But all of those requests are contributing to your backlog of papers being stalled out. So, at the end of this semester, or maybe at the end of every semester, you think I just really can't do this again next semester, right? I can't be so overcommitted. So if that sounds like you, please do let us know in the chat. So I am Kathy Mazak. Many of you know me, but if you're new to my list, where you receive the email invitation for this info session, I help professors publish their backlog of papers by developing 3 essential skills. If you're missing even one of these essential skills, your backlog won't get out there. Like it'll stay stalled. So I will be explaining what those 3 essential skills are here in just a second. But first, let's get real about summer writing, right? We often go into the summer with these really high expectations, right? We think like, well, classes end in May. They start in August. That means I have all these summer months. And so I can be like, pumping out papers in the summer. So you often go into the summer, and especially if you've been in the kind of binge and bust framework, the summer presents potentially, at least in our minds, whether this is really true or not is different. It presents in our minds this big amount of time where either you're not teaching or your teaching load is much less. And so you have these really high expectations for being able to spend a lot of time with your writing. And you probably believe that time is your biggest problem. So, but we're going to talk about those 3 essentials, and time is only one of them. Okay, the reality though of what happens in the summer, experience might tell you this, like be honest with yourself and your memories, is that you get to summer and you crash. So you have like forced rest because you are just like so exhausted. You can't imagine facing more work. Right after you turn in grades, it's like a crash. It's a alternate, like a little version of this. It's not the same because I'm talking about spring break, not summer, but there's a spring break that my mom came for spring break. And she was like, as soon as she arrived, I went to Sam's Club to do like a big shopping trip, and I bent over to pick up bread from a low shelf and put my back out. And that's what I mean by forced rest. It was like as soon as I knew mom was there to like be able to take care of kids and like help hold down the fort, my body was like, and you're done. So I spent the whole spring break on my back, like in bed, because I couldn't move. And I don't know how I got from Sam's Club to home, but that's what I mean by forced rest, right? So you can think of whether this has ever happened to you. Another kind of reality of the summer, another version of what might happen, is that you'll do a lot less writing than you hoped to do, while internally berating yourself for it. So you don't really get the benefit of doing the resting and restoration because the whole time you're like, oh, I'm doing this fun activity, but I should be writing, right? In the back of your mind, you're thinking about, oh, I'm squandering this summer. Or maybe you do sit down and you get that you're working your little tail off and getting your writing done, but you are simmering with resentment. Okay. because what you really need to do is rest, but instead you're like powering through, right? And that can really have a negative effect on your writing practice because if you feel resentful towards your writing, then you will definitely not want to keep writing. It is counterproductive for sure. So with the Navigate Intensive, you can both, write and rest. And I'm going to explain exactly how and give you a clear plan to follow. Okay, but before we get there, just know that Navigate is for you if you are a professor with a backlog of papers. Also, in Navigate, we often get people who are postdocs, full-time researchers. Sometimes we'll get people in nonprofits or government jobs who do research and need to publish their papers. So in a group of 30, we might have, one or two of those kinds of people, and then we'll have like two or three postdocs, and then we'll have a handful of full-time researchers. Majority of the people who take Navigate are what we would call in like the North American system, tenure track professors. But early career, mid-career, late career, we get actually a ton of mid and late career professors in Navigate. So if any of those things describes you and you have a backlog of papers, then Navigate is a good fit for you. What do I mean though by backlog of papers? So what I mean is more than two academic articles that have data analyzed, right? So you have analyzed data, even if you're going to have to go back and reanalyze, but you have analyzed data and you have like a at least a workable, solid, I could get started on this, article idea, right? And, like a little outline or figures or some words on the page about that article. And so tell us in the chat, how many papers are in your backlog of papers? And and Navigate and all my programs are in no judgment zone. We are all in the same spot, in terms of like we are all feeling like we have a backlog or we all want to spend more time, attention on our writing so that we can submit papers. So just let me know in the chat how many articles are in your backlog of papers right now. Yes, definitely include student-led projects, include co-authored papers, because that is part of it. That is absolutely part of it. And Navigate, I think, is a really important way that you get better at the 3 essentials I'm going to talk about in a second. And that way you are a better co-author, you're a better mentor for writing with students. Yes, like these are not, listen, I have seen all these numbers before, so no sad faces necessary. Awesome. And at least one book. Yeah. Let me say, for books, you can think of this as a proposal, chapters, that kind of thing. Navigate's not a book writing program, but lots of people do take it in order to kind of accelerate or keep up with their expectations around their book writing process. Great. Also, I want to say that like something I want to normalize is that not all like different fields have kind of different numbers of papers that are even like possible in a year. So like somebody who's a historian is unlikely to have a backlog of 10 papers, but someone in other fields might. And that is totally fine. And it is all about you and what you need to do to feel good about your writing this summer, really, to kind of put a little like corral around it. So thank you all for sharing in the chat. I have another question for you. How many papers in your backlog do you want to submit this summer? Okay, so now you told me what's in your backlog. Now I want you to tell me in the chat, how many of those would you like to submit by the end of the summer? All right, Mary says 2, Christina says 2, 2, 3. Awesome. Yeah, if you're working on a book, you can think about that however you would like. whether you want it to be a chapter, two chapters, maybe you're in the proposal stage and you want to have the proposal by the end or proposal and sample chapter, that kind of thing. Okay, awesome. Awesome, awesome. Okay, so hold that number. That all these numbers are for you, by the way. Like it helps me obviously to get to read the room. But this is for you. Okay, so this is you're putting in the chat the number of papers that you would like to submit this summer. Awesome. Everybody's like pretty reasonable. I love it. So I'm going to explain to you exactly how Navigate is going to help you do that. Okay, publish the backlog of papers or submit the backlog of papers that you submit the papers that you need to submit by the end of the summer. Okay, so here's where we get to the three essentials. Three essentials. Essential number one, you have to have good, developed, highly developed in the optimal sense, right? Publication pipeline and writing project management skills. So that's essential number one. I call it pipeline and project management. All right, the skills to be able to do that. Number two, you have to have time on your calendar. You have to have good time management. There has to be like space in your calendar to spend some time writing. And we do that in Navigate through writing an academic mission and aligning our activities behind that mission. And then essential three is a sustainable writing practice. And that means when you sit down to write that, more times than not, there's flow to the writing. You know things about yourself, like how long your ideal writing session is, where you want to place the writing sessions in the day, how many per week is good for you. You also know how to make your writing resilient so you can put it down and pick it back up. So those are the three essentials to publishing your backlog of papers. So pipeline and project management, time management, and a sustainable writing practice. But here's the thing. If you are missing just one of these three essentials, you will keep your backlog of papers stuck. So for example, if you don't have a sustainable writing practice, you can have a publication pipeline all mapped out. You can know the stages of your pipeline. You can understand writing project management, like the difference between writing problems and writing tasks and the project management approach to each of those things. You can even have great time management skills where you have time on your calendar to sit and write. But if you don't have a sustainable writing practice, you get derailed and can't get back on. You sit down during your writing time and wheel spin, or it's just not as fruitful of a writing session because you haven't worked on that sustainable writing practice. Similarly, if you have a great pipeline and project management and a sustainable writing practice, but you don't have good enough time management to get that writing session on the schedule and hold it there, then you also will keep having a backlog of papers. And if you have great time management, sustainable writing practice, but no writing plan, maybe this is a perfect example of this is the buffet method of like you don't have like a plan for what you're going to work on. So you sit down, you just take a little bite out of each one of your papers and they just all stay half done and never get all the way to submission. Then, this is a problem. That's why you need all three essentials. So tell us in the chat, which one do you need to work on? Okay, which one are you missing? Maybe more than one. That you really feel like is your weakness, like the area that you need to develop. Yes, yes. Now, of course, in Navigate, we are developing all three of these, and we do them in this order. And absolutely, some of this you might, the language we use to talk about it in Navigate is like stages of mastery. So like unaware, like I didn't know I really had to do that. Aware, like I know I have to do it, but I'm not doing it. Learning, integrated and mastery, which are the stages that we want to move you into and to navigate for all three of these. And there's, of course, there's like sub-objectives in each one of these. Awesome. All right. So for those of you who want to submit 2 or more papers, which was most of you, here's how the Navigate Intensive will help you. And you can get a pencil now if you would like. Here's your plan. Take screenshots if you want. Okay. So the Navigate Intensive is a 2-week version of my Navigate program where all the content is the same, but it is delivered live in daily meetings, 2 hours a day, Monday through Friday, May 18th through 29th. Do not panic if you are already like, oh, wait, but I can't make it on these days, or I can't, I'm going on vacation. Don't worry. We got you. I'm going to explain to you what you're going to do if you can't make some or even all of the meetings. I will explain it. Okay, each one of during the daily 2-hour meetings, about an hour we are going to spend delivering the lesson. I'm going to hold space for you on the call to complete the lesson. Any activities, there's no homework in this program. And then depending on, it's going to vary a little bit per day, but basically you'll have 45 to 60 minutes of co-writing time on the call. Okay. In days 1 through 3, you'll select your articles for summer submission and make a writing plan for the first one. Okay. And then that one that you select, you will submit by May 29th. So that's one checked off your list. And for my book writers, your proposal or you're gonna like analyze what you've got and select what you'll work on for the 2-week Navigate Intensive. Then in June and July, it's going to be different than past June and July writing because you'll have learned the 3 essentials that we just talked about in the Navigate Intensive. So your writing will be project managed. It'll be sustainable. You'll have the sustainable writing practice, right? You will have figured out your summer ideal week in Navigate. So you will head into your June and July writing very grounded with a much different kind of approach than you have done it before. So note, please, that you do not have to write for 8 hours a day. Sometimes we have this binge and bust thinking about writing where we think, oh, well, summer I'm not teaching, or summer I'm only teaching 1 6-week session with 1 class. And so I have all of this time for writing. But that still doesn't mean that you should have butt in the chair for 4 hours or 6 hours or 8 hours a day. No, because that is not sustainable. What we're going for June and July is 1 to 2 hours, 1 to 3 times a week. You could even do 4 if you would like. So that leaves you plenty of time to integrate rest. I suggest, if you can, if it works out for your schedule, that after we do the Navigate Intensive and you submit that first article, then you take all of the week of June 1 to 7 off. Like, so that you really take, like, okay, you did the Navigate Intensive, you submitted one thing, so you're already like on plan ahead maybe for the summer. And then you take all of June 1 to 7 off. And then you do for June and July, 1 to 2 hours, 1 to 3, maybe 4 times a week. And that is like a nice, slow, steady pace for writing for the summer. Again, why do I think this will work this time? Because you've taken Navigate. So that means that you will be able to figure out your best times of writing, get flow into your writing. You'll have that. If you get disrupted, you'll be able to get back on. So those are all writing practice, parts of that writing practice essential. You'll know how to project manage your writing so that it gets all the way to submission. So let's imagine that during June and July, maybe you work on something that was a little less almost done than what you worked on in the Navigate Intensive, and you submit your other, goal article by the end of July. But if not, then in August, you'll join me for my live workshop. It's a 3-day workshop, August 3, 5, and 7. We meet 3 hours a day. It's the Submit Your Almost Done article in 3 days workshop. So we'll have 9 hours together during that week for you like to push that article all the way out the door. It's a combination of workshop and co-writing, lots of co-writing time together. And it's free as part of the bonus package when you enroll in Navigate by the Navigate Intensive by April 10. And so then after you do that, right? Like after you get you push that thing all the way out the door by August 7th, then you can use the rest of August to prep for the beginning of the semester. So this is your summer safety net. This is the kind of little, okay, we'll circle back together August 3, 5, and 9 to get to like push out anything that might have gotten a little behind in June and July. Now, this is optional. This is optional, but if you wanted to, you could then, if you take the Navigate Intensive, then you could join us for a second round of Navigate. We have a special program for grads of our 12-week Navigate session program, which we call it Navigate Round 2 Plus, where basically no extra content or anything, but it's weekly 1-hour meetings that alternate between coaching and co-writing on Fridays as we start the first Friday in September, we end November 20. And this is, it's additional, it's an optional add-on. I'm just seeding it here for you to think about it. But in that, if you decided to do another round of Navigate with us, then you could be implementing the things you learned in the intensive in the context of the semester, okay? So you'll align your activities with your mission to clear space in your weekly semester calendar. You'll solidify your writing practice, and you'll sustain what you created in the summer into the academic year. And of course, we always have you submit choose another low-hanging fruit paper to work on to submit by the end of that round 2. November 20th would be the date. Again, this is optional. This is optional and extra, okay? So if you did do that optional extra thing, then if you join us in the Navigate Intensive, you can get support for publishing your backlog of papers from May until November for less than the price of enrolling in our 12-week Navigate program, which is $3,000. So I'm going to explain that, and I'm going to tell you all the pricing here as we go. So first, the Navigate Intensive meets live Monday through Friday, 18th through 29th of May, 10 a.m. till 12 o'clock noon. Each call is a combination of workshop, coaching, and co-writing in that 2-hour block. So it starts with a hands-on workshop. So basically, in Navigate, how I usually offer it during the semester, which is as a 12-week flipped classroom program where we have the modules recorded, and then we have a live meeting every week for questions and for co-writing. So I'm basically taking the slides from those recorded lessons and zhuzhing them up to their to their most modern iteration, to my most kind of like advanced thinking about each of the lessons, and delivering them live to you. Okay, so the same in Navigate, it's usually a 12-week program. We're doing it in 10 days, Monday through Friday, 2 weeks, because I pulled one thing out that you'll get as a bonus. And the first day is an introduction day during our normal 12-week session. So I made it fit into 2 weeks, and I'm delivering it live. So that means that you can ask me questions in real time. So this might be a perfect way for you to do Navigate if you love that there's no homework, right? You just kind of come onto the call and we do all the work together on the call. And maybe you've been having trouble doing sustained professional development during the semester, right? So if that's true, then this could be a great option for you. Also, we'll have daily coaching and questions. So during our workshops, you'll have a chance to get all your questions answered live on the call as we implement the lesson together. I'll also hold time for coaching, which is meant to help you overcome mindset obstacles that might get in your way of implementing the material. And this could be really perfect for you if you love immediate, just-in-time feedback and lots of live interaction with me and your peers. And then we will also do daily co-writing. So co-writing is just when we get on Zoom, or we are already on Zoom. We put our goals in the chat and we write together on mute. You can leave your camera on, take it off. It's up to you. Each day we'll have about 45 minutes. Some days we'll have more built into the call. If we have 45 minutes, that equals 7.5 hours of writing time for you to finish and submit that low-hanging fruit article. So this could be perfect for you if you have trouble keeping your butt in the chair and you really want to move something all the way to completion by May 29th. So again, the Navigate framework, which the program is built on, it has these kind of 3 essentials for publishing your backlog of papers, right? So the first one is pipeline and project management, and we will cover that in the first 4 days. So we will do your pipeline. Your publication pipeline is your high-level multi-project plan for all of your writing projects. I call them projects in play. So we'll figure that out on day 1, and you'll choose your what the article that you're going to work on during the program. You will on day 2, we'll talk, and do 2 and 3 are all about writing project management. Day 2, we dig into writing problems versus writing tasks. Day 3, we dig into creating a writing plan. And then day 4, we look across the whole year and contextualize your writing in the other things that you're doing and create a 1-year writing roadmap. And so by the end of day 4, you will have improved pipeline and writing project management skills. The second essential is time management, right? And so the way we do this is that we write an academic mission statement, and then we work to align all of our activities behind that mission statement. And we go through a process of culling away what is no longer supporting the mission statement, or figuring out how to contain it so it stays as small as it needs to be. Again, these are things that we will do on the call. So as you're writing your mission statement, you'll be getting feedback immediately on the call by volunteering and saying, hey, I'm working on this. How does it sound? That kind of thing. The activities alignment is also something that can be really tedious because I ask you to like really think of everything. So it's great to do live because I'll be holding that space for you to do it. And then you'll create your ideal week for the summer. But then that same ideal week lesson, you'll want to repeat before the semester starts, so that you're really setting yourself up for writing during the semester. So the result of this is more time in your schedule for writing. The third essential is a sustainable writing practice. And I call my system for sustainable writing the soaring system. And that's because I use this kind of metaphor of a bird, maybe a bird of prey, in flight, kind of floating on invisible air currents. That's the soaring feeling that we want to have during our writing. Other people call it flow. I like this idea of this kind of like, we're not flapping our wings desperately to get the words on the page. We are lightly soaring through the skies. That's the metaphor. The opposite of soaring is slogging, right? Where you're kind of feels like you're like walking through mud. So what we're trying to do is create writing sessions that have that soaring feeling. I have all these different methods for doing that. And that's what I teach you during days 8 and 9. And then day 10, super important, resilient writing, how to recover from setbacks, because there's always going to be setbacks. There's always going to be things that interrupt your writing practice. And so you need to be able to like, get through those. You don't need to try to stop them from happening, because they will not. You will get disrupted. Like that is just like part of it, part of life, especially as an academic. You need to be able to recover. All right. So The other thing that we'll be doing during that 2 weeks is publishing your or submitting your low-hanging fruit paper. So we take a paper and each day you're working on that paper in our co-writing sessions with the eye to submitting on the last day. So in just 2 weeks of the Navigate Intensive, you'll create a clearly articulated academic mission statement and a process for using it to guide your decision-making, to rein in overwhelm and leverage your time. You'll have a mapped out publication pipeline, which serves as a high-level multi-project plan for your publication submissions. You'll create a process for breaking writing projects into tasks and completing those tasks predictably. You will have a mission-driven plan for time management that ensures time to write and think. And you will submit your low-hanging fruit article by the end of the 2-week session. So the result of Navigate is a sustainable writing and publication process that you can use again and again to keep getting that backlog of papers out in the world. Now, for the Navigate Intensive, everything is recorded. So each day's session will be recorded and it'll be uploaded by the afternoon of the same day that it occurs, and it will be available in our learning management system. So if you miss a day or 5 or 7, you can watch the recording. So if this is happening at a time that, I don't know, you are unavailable to come live, you can participate in the whole program by watching the recordings. And you get to keep access to these recordings for a whole year. Now, I emphasized that, because it's delivered live, you get access to me and can ask me questions and things like that. And you will just have to do that asynchronously if you can't make it to the live calls. And when people ask me questions asynchronously through email, I usually make them a little video response. So you do get that personalized interaction and your questions answered. We also create a private podcast version of all the lessons where we basically rip the audio from the daily videos. Obviously, there's no audio in the co-writing session, so that won't be there. But and I'll create a private podcast so that even if you can't watch the video lesson, you can listen on the go and re-listen, which is also often, really helpful. And of course, you'll get our PDF workbook, which you get to keep forever, which accompanies you through all the materials. So the value of this program is over $6,000, a year of access to the videos, the private podcast, the workbook, the live workshop and coaching and co-writing. And during our regular enrollment, this program sells for $3,000. So that's during the semesters, I offer this program as a 12-week program for $3,000. But I am offering the Navigate Intensive for $1,997 or $550 a month for 4 months if you need to do a payment plan. This is our best price to learn my Navigate method. The price will not ever be lower than this. So this is really important. If you've been waiting, if you've been like, oh, it's so expensive, I can't do it. It's still expensive and it's less expensive now for the Navigate Intensive. Plus you get these awesome bonuses. And so one really great bonus is that if you enroll by April 10th, you can get a 30-minute one-on-one call with me. And I call this a pipeline coaching call. So basically we get on the call, we go through all of your projects in play, make a big list, start to prioritize so that you go into the summer with a really great plan. And then also another bonus is, as I mentioned before, you can come to the Submit Your Almost Done Article in 3 Days workshop for free. August 3, 5, and 7 will run at 10 a.m. to, that should say noon. Sorry about that little typo. And you get to keep those recordings for life. So that's something that you can always go back to. So normally that's $97 and you get it for free. And I really see that 3-day workshop as a way to secure your summer submissions. Because if you get all the way to the first week of August and you are not where you want to be, then you can really use that 3-day workshop to get that last paper in or that, to really submit that thing. And these are just some, feedback about how mind-blowing that workshop is. So you can come and basically like make sure you get everything done that you wanted to. Now, I did mention Navigate Round 2. So Navigate is a spiral curriculum, which means that you can do it over and over again, increasing your mastery every time that you do it. So it's absolutely optional to do an additional round. But if you wanted to, you could enroll in round 2 for fall, which would run September, October, November. And the price of Navigate round 2 is $900. And so what normally happens is that people take 12-week Navigate for $3,000, and then they can do as many additional rounds as they want for $900. But you would take Navigate Intensive for $1,997 and then be able to do additional rounds for $900. So let me just review again what you get for $1,997. The 2-week Navigate Intensive, which is normally $3,000, basically more than $1,000 off. You get the 30-minute one-on-one pipeline call with me if you join by April 10th. And also you get to come to that Submit Your Article in 3 Days workshop at the beginning of August if you join by April 10th. That's included in your $1,997. And then if you wanted to do a round 2 of Navigate for $900 in September, then basically you would be getting all of this support for your writing for less than the cost of what it usually is to enroll in Navigate during the 12-week session. So I just want to emphasize Navigate will never be cheaper than this. So if price has been an objection for you and $1,997 is still an objectionable price, then this isn't a program for you, because it won't ever be cheaper than this. So here's what stops most people from enrolling in Navigate. Okay, so this is like real talk. Here's why people don't enroll. Fear of failure. This is the biggest reason. Okay, so people think, I'm afraid I'll get derailed or I'll get behind. So this is Ann Vo. She is a senior director of assessment for Kaiser Permanente. And she has taken Navigate more than once. And she says that everything about the way the program has been designed is truly a safety net for its participants. The program has flexibility, but also structure, and the balance between the two is really beautiful. I've consulted for almost 40 organizations, and I know that it's a struggle to achieve that balance. So I really appreciate Ann's feedback and coming from somebody who's knows about assessment of programs. So this is just a way to make you feel safer to enroll, even if you're afraid you will fall off the wagon. Okay. Another version of fear of failure that people have that keeps them from enrolling in Navigate is, I'll spend all this money and I won't take full advantage of the program. Okay. This is another version of perfectionism, which is not that sounds like an accusation, but just a recognition, right? A lot of us as academics recognize that we can lean towards perfectionism. And what I want to say, if this is a thought that you've had, is that you don't have to get an A+ in Navigate to get a lot out of it. You don't have to get an A+ in Navigate to submit your backlog of papers. In fact, there's no grades in Navigate, so you can't even get an A+. You can miss all the live calls and still get 100% of the value from the program by watching the recordings and emailing me with any questions that you have. I actually feel so confident in the curriculum for Navigate, this curriculum that, I've developed over 10 years and is now at its cutting edge, most optimal form, that I am sure that if you watch all the recordings and do the things, and if you get stuck anywhere, you just email me and I'll make you a little video, or I'll answer your email, make you, help you get over whatever's holding you back, that you'll still get just as great a benefit from the program as somebody who came to every one of the calls live. So I just want to say that not enrolling in Navigate guarantees that your backlog of papers won't come out, that everything will stay exactly the same, because you won't have those 3 essentials. So the faster you start working on those 3 essentials, you know which ones you need to work on because you told me in the chat, the faster you're going to get through having this backlog of papers. All right, so Um, Here is the link to enroll or to apply, because it is an application only program. So we got 3 steps in the application process. First, you apply. It takes about 5 minutes to apply. I just dropped the link in the chat. It's a very simple form. It's just qualifying you. It's just letting me know that you are interested in the program and that you meet the criteria, which is that you have a backlog of papers, which according to the definition that I put in there, and that you are in a career moment that makes sense for Navigate. So like you're not a grad student. Um, it's because Navigate isn't for grad students. So you apply. Then once I approve your application, I'll send you the Navigate benchmark assessment, which basically takes those 3 essentials and blows them out into 20 program objectives and asks you to self-assess on the program objectives in terms of that scale of mastery, right? So that way I know, like if somebody's like, I've mastered all of these things, then it's not a good program fit. And that helps me know if Navigate's going to help you or not. So you do the Navigate benchmark assessment. It also gives us a little before and after data. And then if that looks good to me, and if like, yes, they're in the spot that they need to be in order to learn in the program, then I'll send you the link to enroll. Along this process, you'll have the opportunity to schedule an optional 15-minute call with me, which is just like if you have questions, you can ask me. If you're like, I don't want to spend that much money without talking to a human first, that's what that 15-minute call is for. Or if you're like, is this really good for me in my situation? That's what that call is for. Or if you don't have time to schedule a call, because I know we're all super busy, send me an email and I will send you a little video response. Okay. Again, that is all to help you make a decision, to make the best decision for you. So the Navigate application just takes about 5 minutes. Again, it's like, pretty straightforward. I dropped the link in the chat. I'll just drop it again because I know that that Zoom doesn't show it to people who have just come in the room. Then you will get, if your application is approved, you'll get the Navigate benchmark assessment. Again, it's all multiple choice. Shouldn't take too long. Both of these things you could do on your phone. And just a couple of results about publishing from past members. Okay. So this person said, I was stuck in cycles of low productivity and avoidance, totally alienated from my writing, and I've turned that around. The program helped me develop a reliable system for how to get my writing projects done and let me feel the joy of being engaged with my own ideas and my academic community again. Elizabeth said, I have reorganized how I approach my work to go from chaos to purpose. Another participant said, Navigate helps me bring awareness to the writing process in ways that are more tangible and concrete. During my PhD, I was stumbling to figure it out. Now I understand every step of my pipeline so that I can better organize my schedule. This has made things explicit, which has greatly helped me to have a better sense for what to expect moving forward. This was an early career scholar. Another participant said, I have read tons of stuff, tried many things, adopted several tools, but this is about more than just becoming efficient. It's about being more sustainable, more authentic, and actually learning strategies and systems to make things happen. Kirsty McCallum said, I thought I knew where my publications got stuck, but I realized there were 3 points in the process where my publications slowed down or stopped making progress, and literally seeing it helped me to figure out how I could address these issues. So again, you will have the opportunity to book a call with me if you need to. So don't feel like, you don't have any support in making a decision. I put the link in the chat to apply. Also, just about university funding, like we absolutely encourage you to invest in yourself if that is something that you can and want to do. However, we will accept university funding. So when to start mobilizing those funds is like right now, even before you apply, but don't not apply waiting to get funds. Do both at the same time. Start mobilizing your funds and get your application in. So if you have access to professional development funds, but you need somebody's permission, start trying to get that permission. Don't wait to get your application approved. Like send me your application at the same time you start working that, for those funds, because we know that universities take a long time to pay bills, and we must receive payment before, like, by the program enrollment deadline for you to participate in the cohort. So if you want the bonuses, that deadline is April 10th. If you just are like, it's fine, my university's slow, then the enrollment deadline is May 15th, which is on this slide. Okay, so again, the Navigate intensive dates are and times of meeting here. So yes, it's very early Pacific time. So if you're over there on the Pacific coast, it's early. If you're in Europe, it's late. This is how things roll. Like, this is the time it is for me. So there's, advantages and disadvantages to every time we could set the program at. Applications are open right now. The bonus package ends on or expires on April 10th. The program starts again May 18th, and enrollment closes May 15th. But again, to get that bonus package with the one-on-one, you'll want to be enrolled. So not just applied, but enrolled by April 10th. So you can apply now. This is our email, support@scholarsvoice.org. If you have any questions, I'll drop it in the chat in a second. Remember that the bonus package includes a 30-minute one-on-one pipeline coaching call with me if you enroll by April 20th. And also you can participate in this Submit Your Almost Done Article in 3 Days workshop if you enroll by April 10th. And this happens that first full week of August. So some FAQs, and please drop your questions in the chat. Why do applicants not get accepted for Navigate? The one reason is that they haven't filled out the whole application. Okay, so there's questions. If you skip questions on the application or answer sassily, then you don't get in the program. I'm sorry, that's an indication of attitude problem. So that's a reason. Another reason might be if you are a graduate student. We, in general, don't accept graduate students. The times that we have accepted graduate students have been that they are in a tenure track line or working as full-time professors at the same time they're finishing their degrees. So those are some reasons you might not get accepted into Navigate or might not get past the application stage. Is Navigate only for tenure track professors? No, we also take postdocs, full-time researchers. If you're like, I'm a special snowflake, just apply and tell me what your special snowflake status is. And if it's a good fit, then I will accept you into the program. So people ask me, will Navigate help me write my book? Navigate is not a book writing program. It is a writing program. So as long as you're clear about that, then yes, Navigate can help you get your writing done. Do you cap the number of participants in the cohort? We do not. And especially for the Navigate intensive, we are mixing people who are taking round 2 of Navigate. So the people who have already done the 12-week Navigate, and now they're like, okay, I want to do round 2 or round 3 or round 4 of the program. We're grouping everybody together for the Navigate intensive. So there is no cap in number of participants. The meeting times are 10 to 12, so 10 a.m. to 12 noon, Monday through Friday, Eastern time, which is New York City time, May 18th through 29th. Can I keep the recorded modules forever? No, but you can keep them for a year, which is a long time. So you get to keep them for a year. What if I'm going on vacation during Navigate or some other version of this? What if I have to travel? What if I am turning in grades until May 21st? What if? You can still do the Navigate intensive. You're just going to have to rely on the recordings. And when you need help, you're going to have to email me. Okay. So if you can't make any of the live calls, that's okay. You just, you can still, I believe this 100%, you can still get a great result and publish your backlog of papers, even if you can't make any of the live calls, but you got to watch the calls. And if you can't watch them immediately, don't worry. If you don't do like if you don't take the whole program in the exact order that it's offered, that's also like not a deal breaker at all. Like if you're going to miss 2 days and then you watch the recordings from those 2 days in June, it's really not a problem. You'll still have, access. You'll still get like all the juicy training on the three essentials. Okay. Um, what if my university funds don't process in time? Then you cannot join. Unless we get payment by May 15th, you can't join the program. What if I took a previous version of Navigate? Should I do round 1 or round 2 plus? So everybody should do the Navigate intensive. If you took a previous version of Navigate, so Christina, and anybody else here who might have taken a previous version of Navigate, whether it was back when Navigate was a recorded program, a recorded course, when Navigate was a year-long thing. There's been lots, before 2023, there's lots of different versions of Navigate. The content of the program has changed by about 60%. And so it is definitely worth taking it again. And I have really, really special pricing for you if you took a previous version of Navigate. And you'll be getting emails about that starting today or tomorrow. But also you can reach out to support@scholarsvoice.org. And if you want to join a future cohort, you absolutely can, but not at this price, right? The during semester price is $3,000 for the 12-week program. Okay, so this is the email you should write to if you have any questions. You can ask me questions now. Support@scholarsvoice.org. I will drop the application in the chat. Also, just know that if you fill out that application and you give me your phone number and you live in Canada or the US, then and you get a text message from me saying like, hey, I approved your application. It's like really me texting you. It's not, it's not a bot or AI. Like it's actually me and my thumbs writing you text messages. So you can feel free to text me back and ask me any questions if you fill out the application and give me your phone number there. If you're in Europe, like I might be able to WhatsApp you, but or international otherwise, I usually can't communicate by text with you. But you can give me your number anyway if you want. Anything else? Any questions? Thanks everybody for being here today. Let me write the email into the chat. Support@scholarsvoice.org. If you have taken a previous version of Navigate, it's the same application, and so you'll get the special pricing for alums. You can still start your application process. Just write to us, and we will let you know all the details. Thanks everyone for being here today. Any questions before we sign out? All right, y'all. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. Bye.